Welcome to the CO Visit. Colin here, and always my trusty coffee. How's everybody doing? Thanks for clicking on this video on this Thursday, at least in my area of the world. And time just it goes by so fast. This week flew by, and I guess that's a good thing though. So what I want to talk about in this video, as you saw, and this is again most of my videos lately. This is my second go around with this video, so hopefully this time we'll get through it. I put my phone on airplane mode so that nobody's bothering me. I won't get bothered all day. As soon as I sit down to make a video, messages, phone calls, no, I'm not playing that. So anyway, I think all of us with this topic of UAPs, formerly known as UFOs, just about everybody has some interest in this topic, right? I've been seeing lately, this has been in the news a lot, seen it a lot in the news. I've seen people on social media everywhere talking about these things and all the conspiracy theories and the beliefs about this, and then religious people giving their 2 cents about it. And of course, to them, everything is about the end times, and this is the end times, and it's fallen angels or it's demons and whatever. So there's all kinds of, or otherwise it's the government and aliens are already here, but they've covered it up and all this stuff. So I heard some reports about on social media about NASA saying they believe that they've detected this large spacecraft that's coming towards Earth, and then Elon Musk came out and said yes, that's what it is, and all this stuff. And people were like, well, if Elon said it, then okay, whatever. I'm not going to get into that. But so I'm not even talking here about the JWs or anything like that. This is not a JW video, but just religion in general. We can look at this in several different ways, because either a visit from some kind of sentient life to our planet, or if we discover any type of life on another planet, that raises some questions and presents some difficulties for religion. And so I've looked at this in several different ways. And like I was saying, I was mentioning to another channel that I followed, and there was another guy who was talking about this topic, and he's very he's a believer and he's a Christian and all this stuff, and so they were talking about, oh, this is just it's fallen angels, and it's this is spiritual warfare and these things that are going on, and the Bible says that in the end times there would be celestial phenomena and all this stuff. Okay, so I said, well, yeah, and that's one possible way of looking at this situation. But I told this person, I said, just because we're believers and just because you believe in God and all this stuff doesn't mean your brain stops functioning. It shouldn't anyway. I think most people it does, because people just don't seem to critically think, and I do. Okay, and I analyze the different implications and the different possibilities of what if this happened, then what would we do? What explanation would religious leaders have? And it could possibly be quite chaotic and quite destructive. So I look at it in one way. So if we look at this whole UFO issue and aliens and all of that, and you're looking at it from a religious perspective, a Christian perspective, and you're trying to justify. So I look at that, okay. So one possible thing is, if, according to what's written in the Bible, and so if God really did create humanity and Adam and Eve, and then things went sideways with Adam and Eve, and they sinned and we lost our perfection. So if you look at the fact that, okay, if we were perfect, if we had immortality, or if we had everlasting life, then it's reasonable to conclude that eventually at some point in our development as a society, the earth would fill up, right? If nobody dies, the earth is going to fill up sooner or later. Okay, I mean, with the resources, with everything, the planet, without divine intervention, okay, and there was no indication whatsoever that God would be intervening. Okay, he provided the first human couple with enough intelligence and the know-withal and the ability to grow as a society and then invent things and create new things. With time we would develop just like we did now, except being perfect, right? We would not be imperfect, but we would create technology and we would create probably vehicles and farming equipment and all this kind of stuff. So all of that would have happened anyway, right? As mankind advanced and expanded, we would discover new things and have no need of God stepping in and performing any miracles, right? But with that happening, the earth easily can support life and handle all the people that live on it, many, many billions of people, to a certain point, right? You get to a tipping point where the resources are not going to be enough. There's not enough space. Okay? That's a reality. That's a fact. So when you look at the enormity, just infinite character and nature of the universe and all these supposedly millions, hundreds of millions of galaxies and with their own solar systems and planets, and you would think, well, why did God create all of that if there's no life there? Okay, well, you could look at that and say, well, it's because he created it for us, right? Eventually we would have basically an infinite amount of space where as one planet started to fill up, we could then move to the next one, right? Some people could move to the next one, start populating it. Then that one would fill up in the next few 100,000 whatever years, and then we move on to the next one, the next one, the next one, and just infinitely, right? That makes perfect sense if that is indeed the case, right? However, that's if we are the only beings that God created, right? If he created Earth and a sentient society and animals and fish and all this other stuff, and then the rest of the universe is for us to go and fill up. Okay, that's one possibility. But that does not take into account if we discover life. Number one, if we discover life already on another planet, whether it be a sentient society or whether it be bacteria, whatever, life is life, right? Or if some alien beings show up on our planet, that's a whole nother issue. That brings up a lot of questions. If there's life out there somewhere else, if there are intelligent beings, albeit very different from us, probably, and that would be logical, right? Then what does that mean? See, this is the part that I think about. If supposedly, and I'm just playing the devil's advocate here, I'm just saying, okay, let's say this side is right, okay, and I analyze it and I think about it and I entertain these thoughts. What if one of these days, intelligent alien life beings show up on our doorstep or in our orbit, and they come down here, they present themselves, and here we are? What does that mean for religion? What does that mean for all these belief systems in the Bible and the Quran and the this and that? And what does that mean? Because if that happens, my logical, critically thinking mind, automatically, I'm asking a lot of questions. Like, number one, is this another creation from God? Or Why didn't God mention anything about this in the Bible? That's a big detail. Oh, by the way, there are other societies out there just like Earth. So, did God create them all? Did God put an Adam and Eve on other planets? Was it just our Adam and Eve that messed up and sinned and lost perfection? You know, maybe we were meant with time to find these other civilizations too and come together and sing kumbaya and realize that we were all made by Jehovah. I don't know. Or are they just as lost as we are and they just stumbled across our planet? Maybe they have their own belief systems as well. Maybe they have their own gods. Maybe they thought they were the only ones. Maybe they have their own Adam and Eve narrative in some form or another. So what does that mean? Because our Adam and Eve sinned and messed up and lost in perfection, does that mean God kind of isolated Earth from the rest of them? Like, we don't want you to infect these other perfect ones. We got to figure out this mess on Earth first. I don't know. I just think about those things. Like maybe, like I said, eventually we were meant to find each other, these other planets, but God cut us off. But I mean, what does that mean? Or does that mean the whole Bible is a lie? If we find another alien race that's intelligent like we are, what does that mean? Does it mean everything we were taught, everything we believed about God, about the Bible, about all this stuff, it was all a lie, just made up? And I think maybe if that's the case, that's why governments and religions are trying so hard to hide the truth from us. They want us to think that religions want you to think that it's fallen angels and demons. There aren't really aliens. There are no spaceships. It's just demons. And that's what the witnesses said, right? That's what JW said. Oh, it's just demons. It's demons trying to fool people, trying to mislead people. So they're letting people believe that Bigfoot exists and aliens exist and all this stuff. It's just to deflect people. Governments say, oh, it's nothing. It's a drone. Or it's a balloon. Or it's some object that we're not really sure what it is, but it's not dangerous. Don't have to worry about it. Okay, so it seems like to me that the two entities that have the most to lose from intelligent life showing up on this planet are the world governments and the religions. Because I can guarantee you guys, just looking at how people are, look at how the world is, look at how delicate everything is, look at how fragile our societies are. I mean, just the snap of a finger and everything can be anarchy and chaos. People will snap. So if billions and billions of people, let's say Christians, Catholics, whatever, realize that all this time, their whole world, their whole belief system, their faith was all for nothing. It was all made up. It was all a lie. When that happens on a global scale, when you've got billions of people that all of a sudden, from one day to the next, have their eyes opened and they realize that we've been getting scammed this whole time. You've been lying to us. Governments, you've been lying to us. Our religious leaders, you've been lying to us. This is all fake, made up. I guarantee you, they will lose control over the populations. They will lose control over the people because there are people that will go crazy. There are people that will want to create anarchy and destruction and chaos. Others will want to kill other people. Some will kill themselves. Others will know that they're going to go down, but they're going to take as many people with them. Looting and burning buildings and destroying vehicles and shooting people and just going crazy. Complete anarchy. And I think the governments know And I think religions know too that they need to keep a wrap on aliens, because discovering alien life is the only thing that's keeping things in order and keeping people in line. The day that we find alien life or they find us, I think anarchy is going to break out on this planet in a lot of ways. And the governments are, trying real hard, as religions are as well, to keep people from finding the truth, just like about a lot of things. See, that's what I think about, guys. I think about all those things. You know, did God make all those planets for us eventually to move to? Or did he create more civilizations, not just us? Was our civilization the only one that went imperfect and everything went awry on this planet? So God cut us off from everybody else until he gets things back under control? Or is all that a lie? Is all religion and belief systems and everything just a lie? And there are other societies out there in this vast universe who are just as lost and out there searching just like we are. And maybe there's some that are more advanced than we are. There's absolutely no evidence in my mind to support that theory. My personal belief, my belief is that there are intelligent societies out there somewhere in this universe, but in my mind, there's absolutely no reason to believe they're any more advanced than we are. If there's another society out there somewhere on a planet in a solar system, billions and billions of light years on the other side of the galaxy or universe, then they wouldn't know any more than we would. They wouldn't know of our existence, just like we don't know about theirs. There's no reason to think that any society out there is any more advanced technologically or any reason more than we are, unless they just happen to develop long ago than we did, right? Because of just chance or evolution or whatever. If a society has been able to develop, maybe for millions of years or billions of years even, whereas humans on this planet have been around for maybe 100 or 200,000 years, right? Intelligent Homo sapiens, right? Anyway, and we've only had like advanced technology for the last 200, 250 years, right? Which is nothing. So you can imagine a society, let's just say in theory, a society that's had 1 billion years to develop, then naturally it would be logical to believe that they're more advanced, right? I don't know, guys. I'm not saying any one of those is the truth or that's how it is. I'm just saying those are the different things, the different possibilities that I think about, that those things could happen. And like I said, the only thing I do believe is that as far as religions go and believers go and all that, we're going to be pretty much up the, like we say, SOL if aliens show up to this planet. You can pretty much kiss your belief system goodbye and churches and religions and all of that. And in the ensuing chaos, who knows what could happen. So anyway, thanks for joining me for this discussion. I hope it was interesting. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you in the next CO visit. Be blessed and take care.